This topic might ruffle some feathers, might trigger some people, and it might piss some people off, but that's okay because sometimes you just got to go there. Today, I want to talk about polyamory and why I think it is one of the signals of an inverted society. And what I mean by that is polyamory shows us something in the human collective, the human psychology, the human minds, and how things in our society have been inverted and we're told something when in reality, it shouldn't actually be that way. Now, I'm not saying polyamory is wrong, and people that practice and engage in polyamory are bad people. That's your choice and that's your free will. You're allowed to do that. But to me, I think it's been a trick played on the human collective that this idea of polyamory is this evolution of human consciousness and a way for people to express and show more love. But in reality, I think it's quite the opposite of that. I think is a fragmentation of the human minds and the way people look at relationships, guys, as some new age spirituality way of looking at love and the new version of love. But that just doesn't sit right with me, and it never has. And that's why I wanted to talk about this because there are many things in our society that are employed as being a higher level of consciousness or the new way of doing things, but in reality is an inversion of how the world actually works and how human psychology and the human mind and the evolution of consciousness really works. And polyamory is a good example of that. Because within polyamory, it is telling people that being in a sacred union, a relationship with one other person isn't the higher way, the evolution of your consciousness. It's the old way. But I don't think it is. Because to build a true deep connection with someone, a life partner, you need to be committed to just one person. Because to me, it's impossible to build a relationship with someone that you want to spend your life with multiple people. Because we are energetic beings, and our energy is limited. Each day, we only have so much energy we can give to certain things. And if you're spreading your energy thin between multiple people you're trying to build a relationship with, and I'm not talking about friendships, family, acquaintances, I'm talking about, you know, a romantic life partnership. You're just not going to be able to give multiple people that same connection and that same energy. It's impossible. And I think to me, the people that get attracted to this polyamorous relationship and way of life, they have some underlying things going on. Becomes almost like a form of escapism. While they may not see it that way, they may see it as of I have so much love to give. I want to be able to share that with multiple people. To me, I think it's a form of escapism. They're afraid of commitment to one person because that means you have to devote yourself to one individual through the thick and thin, through the good and bad, the ugly and the beautiful. Learn all their ins and outs and how they operate as a person. And maybe people just want to stay in that honeymoon phase. So they move from person to person or multiple people at the same time because it feels good. Chemistry in your brain is firing in that honeymoon phase. But when you're in a deep, committed relationship to one person that you want to be your life partner, that phase wears off and you have to love them for who they are. And love is not a feeling or emotion, but is an act of doing. an act of understanding that person. And like I said, being with them through all their phases of life. I can use an example of like if you're trying to get to a destination driving and you have a certain amount of gas, but you decide to take a detour 200 miles in another direction, you're not going to be able to get to your destination because you've run out of gas. And you can't, like with your energy, you can't get it until your energy replenishes. But as you focus on the destination, you get there. And I'm sure people are going to be like, well, in nature, there's animals that are polyamorous. And I always find that as kind of a logical fallacy because there's also animals in nature that eat their babies. So should humans eat their babies? Because I don't think they should. Just because something happens in nature or animals do it does not mean humans should do it. We're different from animals in some ways. And that's why those examples don't line up. Well, I can love multiple friends. Sure, you can. But I'm sure there's some friends you love more than others and others you want to be around more. And friendship is different from partnership, especially life partnership or someone you're trying to build a life with. So I think this idea that polyamory is this new way of love and a higher level of consciousness is an inversion, is a signal that shows there's something wrong in the mainframe of the human collective consciousness, or is trying to divert people from a sacred union, building that sacred unit, that devotion to another person, to deplete your energy to multiple people and not find that devotion in another person where you could potentially create a family, which could be also one of the most sacred things that a human being can do, is the creation of life. I'm sure there's more I can go into on this topic, but I don't want to go on it for too much longer and keep ranting. So I'll end it here. Till the next one.